Right now, somewhere in this country, someone is signing the paperwork on a car they honestly can't afford. Someone else is tapping pay in installments at checkout for a grocery order. And a third person has 50 grand parked in a savings account, barely earning anything, while inflation slowly chips away at its value. None of these are made-up scenarios. They're the well-documented reality of how Americans are actually managing their money in 2026. Every figure I'm about to walk you through comes from the Federal Reserve, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, major banks, and research groups that study how people really behave with their finances, not how they're supposed to behave, but what they actually do. Some of these numbers might make you feel a little better about where you stand. Others might sting. And a few will probably surprise you no matter your financial situation. What ties them all together is one thing. They expose the gap between what financial experts tell us to do and what people are actually doing. That gap goes a long way toward explaining why so many Americans feel trapped, anxious, and unsure about their financial future. Here are the 10 money statistics you need to know for 2026. Our first statistic starts with something parked in nearly every American driveway. Edmunds Q4 2025 data shows that 29.3% of car trade-ins toward new vehicle purchases are now underwater, the highest share since early 2021, back when the pandemic was scrambling the auto market. Underwater means you owe more on the loan than the car is actually worth. So when you try to trade it in, instead of getting cash back, you're stuck owing money. And that debt doesn't just vanish, it has to go somewhere. The average negative equity hit an all-time high of $7,214 in late 2025. More than a quarter of underwater trade-ins involved $10,000 or more in negative equity, and nearly 1 in 10 buyers walked into the dealership already $15,000 or deeper in the hole before even choosing their next car. How does this happen? Someone buys during the pandemic years when prices were inflated and inventory was tight. They stretch the loan to 72 or 84 months to keep the payment low. Then depreciation catches up, the market cools off, and suddenly they owe more than the car is worth. The trap feeds on itself. Buyers who rolled their negative equity into a new loan paid an average of $916 a month in Q4 2025, $144 more than the industry average of $772. To make that inflated payment feel bearable, 40.7% of them stretched their new loan out to a full 84 months. That's the reality millions of Americans are living with in 2026. The cycle is brutal to escape. Longer loans mean equity builds more slowly, slower equity means you're underwater again by the next trade-in, and the debt just keeps rolling forward. 3 moves can break the cycle. Buy used cars, where the steepest depreciation has already happened. Put down at least 20% so you start with equity instead of a hole. And cap your loan term at 48 months, even if the monthly payment stings a bit more. A few years of a tougher payment beats 7 years of debt that follows you from car to car. Our second statistic shows how Americans are financing everyday life. Buy now, pay later took off during the pandemic, and it's evolved into something far more concerning. LendingTree's February 2026 tracker found that 41% of BNPL users made a late payment on at least one loan in the past year, up from 34% just 12 months prior. A 7-point jump in a single year points to real strain building in household budgets. But the most troubling detail isn't the late payment rate. It's what people are financing. 25% of BNPL users now say they've used these services to buy groceries, nearly double the 14% rate from a year before. When people are splitting up their grocery bill into 4 payments, something in the budget isn't working. Gen Z leads the pack here, with 33% using BNPL at the grocery store, and the same generation has the highest rate of juggling multiple BNPL loans at once, at 71%. It's easy to see why BNPL has caught on. The purchase doesn't feel like real spending, since the full amount isn't leaving your account in one hit. The discomfort of paying gets spread out over weeks instead of landing all at once. But that psychological trick comes with real costs. Motley Fool's 2025 research found that 59% of BNPL users have financed something they couldn't otherwise afford, and 26% say they regretted using it once they saw the full cost. Meanwhile, 62% of users mistakenly believe that paying on time helps their credit score. But most BNPL providers don't report positive payment history to the credit bureaus at all. They only report you when you go to collections. People are making financial decisions based on assumptions that simply aren't true. Our third statistic is about money just sitting still. The national average interest rate on savings accounts is 0.39% as of early 2026. Meanwhile, high-yield savings accounts at online banks routinely pay 4% or more, a tenfold gap for doing the exact same thing, keeping your money in a savings account. On a $10,000 balance, that's the difference between $39 and $400 a year. On $50,000, it's $195 versus $2,000. There's no extra effort, no added risk, nothing to change, except which account holds your cash. Yet research consistently shows most Americans keep their savings parked at traditional banks, earning next to nothing. It comes down to inertia. Whatever account was easiest to open becomes the permanent home for cash that could be working much harder. The Fed cut rates 3 times in late 2025, bringing the target range down to 3, 53, 75%, which has softened high-yield rates a bit. But they're still dramatically better than what most people are actually earning. The fix is simple. Emergency funds, savings goals, any idle cash should be sitting in an account earning a competitive rate. Opening a high-yield account takes minutes, the transfer takes a few days, and the extra earnings compound for years after that. Every month your savings sit at 0.39% instead of 4% is money you're leaving on the table. Our fourth statistic exposes just how fragile American finances really are. According to Bankrate, 60% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency expense out of savings, and 25% say they'd reach for a credit card to handle it. This number has barely moved in years. It fluctuates slightly, but the underlying story stays the same. Most Americans are one broken appliance, one car repair, or one medical bill away from real financial stress. The generational breakdown adds nuance. 34% of Gen Z has zero emergency savings. Across the next 3 generations, roughly a third have some savings set aside, but not nearly enough to cover 3 months of expenses, which is the standard recommendation from financial experts. Most Americans fall far short of that target. What's striking is that this advice hasn't changed in decades, yet the gap between what's recommended and what people actually have persists no matter the economic climate. The fix is to treat an emergency fund as non-negotiable rather than a someday goal. Going from $0 to $1,000 changes your relationship with unexpected costs far more than any amount saved above that threshold. Our fifth statistic gives context for comparison. Bankrate data shows the median U.S. bank account balance is roughly $8,000, meaning half of Americans have less than that accessible in their accounts. The pattern by age is predictable. Older Americans generally hold more savings than younger ones, thanks to longer accumulation time and higher peak earning years. What's more revealing is the breakdown by income. Someone earning $153,000 or more has a median balance of $33,800, while someone earning $35,000.50 sits closer to $3,000. Income, more than anything else, drives how much people are able to save. This reframes how you should measure yourself. Comparing your balance to the national median ignores where you stand relative to people earning similar incomes. Someone with $25,000 saved on a $60,000 salary is in a very different position than someone with $25,000 saved on a $180,000 salary. It also underscores a basic truth. Income drives savings capacity. Someone earning $40,000 who saves 15% builds $6,000 a year. Someone earning $150,000 saving the same 15% builds $22,500. The raw math heavily favors higher earners, which doesn't mean lower earners can't build wealth, just that the path takes more time, more discipline, and often more creativity around growing income while managing expenses. Our sixth statistic reveals an error that quietly costs people huge sums over decades. Vanguard research found that 28% of people who roll money over from a 401k into an IRA leave it sitting in cash. They never actually invest it. It's an easy mistake to understand. Moving money into a retirement account feels like investing. The rollover goes through, the money's in the IRA, and it seems like everything's taken care of. But an IRA is just a container. The money inside can sit in cash earning almost nothing, or it can be put into funds that actually grow with the market. A CNBC report found that 68% of people don't even know how their retirement assets are invested. The receiving institution doesn't automatically invest your rollover. You have to make that call yourself. Someone who rolled over $100,000 in 2020 and left it in cash would have roughly that same $100,000 today, plus a bit of interest. Someone who invested that same $100,000 in a broad market index fund would have considerably more. Multiply that gap across millions of rollovers, and you're looking at billions in lost retirement wealth nationwide. The fix takes 5 minutes. Log into your IRA, check what the money is actually sitting in, and if it says money market, cash, or settlement fund, pick something else, a target date fund, a total market index fund, or another diversified option. All beat sitting in cash for long-term growth. Our seventh statistic offers perspective for anyone with money in the stock market. Historically, the market roughly doubles every 10 years. That's not guaranteed year to year. Some decades deliver more, some less. But an average annual return in the 8–10% range compounds to something close to a doubling per decade. What trips most investors up is the bumpy ride along the way. Financial Samurai's analysis found that 38% of years since 1930 saw the S&P 500 drop 10–20% at some point during the year, and another 16% of years saw drops beyond 20%. Corrections and sharp downturns aren't the exception, they're the norm. Accepting that volatility is essentially the cost of earning long-term returns. The price of trying to dodge that volatility is steep. Miss just the 10 best days in the market over the last 30 years, and you erase roughly 54% of your potential gains. Miss 20 days, and 73% disappears. Miss 30, and 83% of your gains are gone. The best days tend to cluster right around the most turbulent stretches. So selling during a crash and waiting for things to settle down before getting back in usually means missing the very rebounds that drive most long-term returns. Investors who stay in through the uncomfortable stretches end up capturing gains that nervous investors miss entirely. The market doesn't reward perfect timing. It rewards time spent in the market. Our eighth statistic tracks a generational shift in who's buying homes. The National Association of Realtors 2025 data puts the median age of first-time homebuyers at 40 years old, with first-time buyers making up just 21% of all purchases, a record low. That number sparked plenty of debate. Other researchers, including the American Enterprise Institute using Federal Reserve data, put the median first-time buyer closer to 33 or 34. The exact number depends on methodology, but the bigger picture doesn't change. Housing affordability has gotten dramatically worse. Whether the typical first-time buyer is 33 or 40, that age has climbed substantially since the late 90s and early 2000s, and the share of first-time buyers in the market has shrunk significantly since before the 2008 crash. Median home prices have outpaced median incomes for decades. Mortgage rates, while down from their 2023 highs, are still well above the ultra-low levels of 2020–2021. In many analyses, the income needed to afford a median-priced home now tops $140,000 a year. Young Americans expecting to buy on the same timeline as their parents are finding that the math simply doesn't work the same way anymore. In practice, that leaves a few options: earn more, save more, look at more affordable markets, or accept a longer timeline to ownership. The traditional path is still there, it just demands more than it used to. Our ninth statistic defines the top tier. Federal Reserve data puts the net worth needed to enter the top 10% of American households at roughly $1.06 million as of 2025, adjusted for inflation. Hitting seven figures sounds extreme, but it's more attainable than most people assume. Ramsey Solutions studied over 10,000 millionaires and found that 79% received no inheritance at all, and only 3% inherited $1 million or more. Most came from middle-class or lower-income backgrounds. The top careers among these millionaires weren't hedge fund managers or tech founders. They were engineers, accountants, teachers, managers, and attorneys. Teachers made the list. Here's the part that really challenges assumptions. Only 31% of the millionaires in the study averaged $100,000 or more annually across their careers. A full third never earned six figures in any single working year. They got there through consistency, not extraordinary income. 8 out of 10 invested in their company's 401(k), and 3 out of 4 also invested outside of it. 75% pointed to steady, consistent investing over long stretches of time as the biggest driver of their wealth. On average, it took 28 years of working, saving, and investing to cross the $1 million mark. Many didn't get there until around age 49. The path is real, and it's documented and repeatable. It's just slower and steadier than the viral success stories make it look. Our 10th and possibly most surprising statistic. When you're starting from nothing, how much you save matters far more than how well your investments perform. Picture two people, each earning $100,000 a year, both trying to reach $100,000 saved as fast as possible. Investor A saves 10% of their income, but only earns a 1% return. Investor B saves 5%, but earns a 10% return, 10 times better. Most people assume Investor B wins easily, since the return is so much stronger. But Investor A reaches $100,000 in about 9.6 years, while Investor B takes 11.7 years. The person with the far worse returns, but the higher savings rate finishes more than 2 years ahead. This math applies mainly in the early stages of building wealth. As your balance grows, returns start to matter more. A 1% difference on $500,000 is a much bigger deal than a 1% difference on $10,000. But for anyone just starting out, the takeaway is clear. Focus on what you can control. Your savings rate is within your control. Market returns aren't. Obsessing over whether a fund returns 8% or 9% while only saving 3% of your income has the priorities exactly backwards. Pushing your savings rate from 5% to 15% will shape your financial future more than any investment pick ever could. Returns still matter. They just matter less than behavior while your balance is small. These 10 statistics sketch a pretty clear picture of American financial life in 2026. Nearly a third of car buyers are underwater on their loans, carrying debt that compounds with every new vehicle. More than 40% of buy now, pay later users are missing payments, increasingly to cover basic groceries. Most Americans leave their savings earning a fraction of what's available elsewhere. The majority can't cover a $1,000 emergency out of pocket. The typical bank balance sits around $8,000. Millions of retirement rollovers sit untouched in cash for years. Housing affordability has pushed the age of first-time buyers to record highs. And cracking the top 10% now takes more than $1 million in net worth. And yet, the path to building wealth hasn't changed. Spend less than you earn, invest consistently over the long haul, avoid debt that works against you, stay patient through the ups and downs. The people who become millionaires aren't geniuses. They're not lucky, and they weren't born into money. They're people who understood that how much they saved mattered more than how well they invested. They automated their contributions. They resisted lifestyle inflation. They stayed invested through the uncomfortable stretches. Every statistic in this video is really an opportunity in disguise. If 28% of people leave their IRA sitting in cash, you can be part of the 72% who don't. If 60% of people can't cover a $1,000 emergency, you can build the cushion that puts you in the minority. If most people are earning 0.39% on their savings, fixing that takes about 15 minutes of your time. The gap between financial stress and financial stability isn't as wide as it looks. It comes down to a handful of small, consistent decisions that compound into a very different outcome over time. These statistics describe where most Americans are standing right now. They don't have to describe where you end up.